Hello dear students, I welcome you in the lecture of structure of atoms and nuclei. In previous lecture we have studied important things regarding atoms. We have discussed about de Broglie hypothesis. We have also seen modern and German experiment. Many of the experimental study has done on the for the study of this structure of atoms, like Rutherford has given us the proof of presence of nucleus, and he also discussed that 99.99% mass of the whole atom is concentrated in the nucleus. We have studied about the orbitals, energy levels, atomic spectra, how the emission and absorption spectra can be seen, what is their nature, like emission spectra is having spike nature. So in this particular session we will go further to study very important and the curious things about the structure of atoms. Still now we have know that electrons revolve in specially organized energy level, and that energy level is nothing but the orbital. Now this center of atom, that means the nucleus, is positively charged having proton and neutrons in it. So we must study what are the different characteristics or different properties or different concept behind this concept. Like we have discussed about the basic structure. Now in this lesson we'll go more further to discuss the various things. So in last lesson or last lecture from the same chapter, we have studied about the radius of orbit. Now one numerical is here to calculate the radius of third orbit of electron in hydrogen atom. So we have studied the Bohr hydrogen atom theory. Why we have taken hydrogen into consideration? Because the first thing is the universe is made up of, like the major constituent of the universe can be say like hydrogen. And the other reason for understanding the hydrogen atom or for considering the hydrogen atom is because it has the very simple structure, like it has one electron and one proton. So that's why it is very easy to understand the hydrogen atom. So now here we have asked to find out the radius of the third orbit of the electron in hydrogen atom. Now the radius of nth orbit is given by radius is equals to a0 n square. Now n is the number of shell. Now it is given there, this is the third orbit, so n is equals to 3, and that's why, and we are having the value of a0 is 0.053 nanometer. Hence the radius of third orbit is 0.477 nanometer. Now this question can be asked for MCQ also for 1 mark, or sometimes it can be asked for 2 marks. Let us discuss about the constituents of nucleus. The atomic nucleus is made up of subatomic, meaning smaller than atom, particles called protons and neutrons. This we already know. Together these proton and neutrons are referred as nucleons because they both present in nucleus. So they are referred as nucleons. Mass of proton is about 1836 times that of electron, and mass of neutron is nearly same as that of proton but slightly higher. The proton is positively charged particle. The magnitude of its charge is equal to the magnitude of charge of an electron. Means proton and electron is having equal magnitude of charge, just they are opposite in polarity, because the proton is having positive charge and electron is having negative charge. The neutron, as the name suggests, it is electrically neutral. The number of protons in an atom is called as atomic number and it is denoted by Z. Now, when the total number of protons we say, it is the atomic number for that particular element. The number of electrons in an atom is also equal to Z. Means proton and electron are in equal number. Thus, the total positive and total negative charges in an atom are equal in magnitude. And the atom as a whole is electrically neutral. The number of neutrons in a nucleus is written as capital N. The total number of nucleons in the nucleus is called as mass number and it is denoted by A. Means A is equals to Z plus N, where Z is the number of proton, N is the number of neutrons. The mass number determines the mass of nucleus and of the atom. So what we can say, Z is the atomic number and A is the atomic mass number. Means Z is the number of proton only, where atomic mass is the sum of number of protons and number of neutrons. The atoms of an element X are represented by the symbol for the element and its atomic and mass number as X is the name of that particular element, A is the atomic mass number, Z is the atomic number. I repeat, X is the name of that particular element, A is the atomic mass number, Z is the number of proton or atomic number. Means when we minus this A minus Z, we will get the number of neutron. For example, symbols for hydrogen, carbon and oxygen are written as, here hydrogen, the element is having symbol H, its atomic mass number is 1 and its atomic number is 1. Then carbon is having atomic mass number 12 and 6 is the atomic number. Also oxygen is having 16 as atomic mass number and 8 is the atomic number. So the chemical properties of an atom are decided by the number of electrons present in it, that is Z. One thing you need to remember here, Z is the number of electrons, also the number of protons. The number of protons and electrons in the atom of a given element are fixed. For example, hydrogen atom has 1 proton and 1 electron. Carbon atom has 6 protons and 6 electrons. The number of neutrons in the atom of a given element can vary. For example, hydrogen nucleus can have 0, 1 or 2 neutrons. That means 1 H1, H21, H31. These varieties of hydrogen are referred as deuterium, hydrogen, deuterium and tritium. Just because of the number of neutrons is increasing. So atom having same number of proton but different number of neutrons are called as isotopes. So this is very important definition. You have to underline it, that the atoms having same number of proton but different number of neutrons are called as isotope. That is, deuterium, tritium are the isotopes of hydrogen. Thus the deuterium, tritium are isotopes of hydrogen, they have the same chemical properties as that of hydrogen. Similarly, helium nucleus can have one or two neutrons and are referred as He32, He42. He is the helium symbol. The atom having the same mass number A are called as isobars. Now the difference between isotopes and isobar is like the atoms having same mass number, that is A, is called as isobars. Thus H31, He32 are isobars because these atoms are having same number of neutrons but different values of atomic number Z are called as isotones. Thus H31, He42 are isotones. There are some units for measuring the masses of atoms and subatomic particles. Now we know that kilogram, gram, pound, these are some fundamental or the useful units we are having nowadays. We use this for measuring the masses. But what will happen if you want to measure the masses of atom or subatomic particles? So the masses of atoms and subatomic particles are measured in three different units. The first unit is usual unit, that is kilogram. The masses of electron and proton and neutron, that is Me, Mp and Mn, are respectively given over here. So the mass of electron is nothing but 9.10 into 10 to the power minus 31 kilogram. Then mass of proton is 1.672623 into 10 to the power minus 27 kilogram. And mass of neutron is again what we have said earlier, the mass of proton and mass of neutron in nearly same, just it has some higher values. So 1.674927 into 10 to the power minus 27 kilogram is the mass of neutron. Now obviously kg is not the convenient unit to measure the masses of atoms or subatomic particles because they are very minute, which are extremely small compared to 1 kg. So therefore another unit is called as unified atomic mass unit, that is U. It is denoted by U and it is called as unified atomic mass unit. So 1 U, that is 1 unified atomic mass unit, is equal to 1 by 12th of the mass of neutral carbon atom having atomic number 12 in its lowest electronic state. Now 1 U is equals to 1.660540 into 10 to the power minus 27 kilogram. So in this unit the masses of the above three particles are Me means mass of electron is nothing but 0.00055 unified atomic mass unit, where the mass of proton is 1.007825 unified atomic mass unit, and the mass of neutron is 1.008665 unified atomic mass unit. The third unit for the measuring masses of atoms and subatomic particles is in terms of the amount of energy that their masses are equivalent to. So according to Einstein's famous mass energy relation, a particle having mass m is equivalent to an amount of energy E is equals to mc square. The unit used to measure the masses in terms of their energy equivalent to electron volt per c square. The one atomic mass unit is equal to 931.5 mega electron volt per c square. The masses of these three particles in these units are Mass of electron is equals to 0.511 mega electron volt per c square. Mass of proton is equals to 938.28 mega electron volt per c square. Mass of neutron is equals to 939.57 mega electron volt per c square. What is the size of nuclei? The size of an atom is decided by the size of orbits of the electron in the atom. Larger the number of electrons in an atom, higher of the orbits of the electrons in the atom. Similarly, all nuclei do not have the same size. Obviously, the size of nucleus depends on the number of nucleons, that is proton and neutrons present in it, that is on its atomic number A. From experimental observation, it has been found that the radius r of nucleus X is related to A as Rx is equals to R0 A to the power 1 by 3, or simply we can say that cube root of A. The density rho inside the nucleus is given by 4 by 3 pi r cube rho is equals to ma, where we have assumed m be the average mass of the nucleon, means the proton and neutrons. As the difference in their masses is rather small, the density is given by rho is equals to 3 ma upon 4 pi rx cube, and substituting for rx from the previous equation we get rho is equals to 3m upon 4 pi r0 cube is equals to constant. Thus the density of the nucleus does not depend on the atomic number of the nucleus, and it's same for all nuclei. Substituting the value of constant m, p and r, the value of density is obtained as 2.3 into 10 to the power 17 kilogram per meter cube or meter inverse simply, which is extremely large. So among all the known elements, osmosis is known to have the highest density, which is only 2.2 into 10 to the power 4 kilogram per meter cube. So this is smaller than the nuclear density by 13th order of the magnitude. Let's solve one of the numerical where we have to calculate the radius and density of the germanium. Okay, so here 70 it is given over here, the in unified atomic mass number, so nucleus, and its mass to be approximately 69.924 unified atomic mass unit. So the radius of the nucleus X with the mass number A, it is given by Rx is equals to R0 cube root of A, where R0 is equals to 1.2 into 10 to the power minus 15 meter. Thus the radius of Ge, that is germanium, is given by, and the density is also given by 3m upon 4 pi r0 cube, and density can be calculated with the help of that formula, and we will get the answer 2.29 into 10 to the power 17 kilogram meter or per meter cube. Now let's discuss the nuclear forces. As we all know, there are four fundamental forces in the universe, like gravitational force is there, electromagnetic force is there, some weak forces are there, and some strong forces are there. So out of these four, the force that determines the structure of nucleus is the strong force, and it's called as nuclear force. This act between the proton and neutron and mostly attractive. It is different from the electrostatic and gravitational force in terms of the strength and range, that is the distance up to which it is effective. Over short distance of about a few femtometer, the strength of the nuclear force is much higher than that of the other two forces. So its range is very small. Its strength goes to zero when the two nucleons are at the distance larger than a few femtometer. This is in contrast to the ranges of electrostatic and gravitational forces which are infinite. The protons in the nucleus repel one another due to the similar positive charges. The nuclear forces between the nucleons counter the forces of electrostatic repulsion. As nuclear force is much stronger than the electrostatic force for the distance between nucleons in a typical nucleus, it overcomes the repulsive force and keeps the nucleons together, making the nucleus stable. So that is the reason what we can say why the nucleus is stable. So here is the reason: as the nuclear force is much stronger than the electrostatic force for the distance between the nucleons in a typical nucleus, it overcome the repulsive force and keep the nucleons together, making the nucleus stable. The nuclear force is not yet well understood. What we know about its properties can be summarized as follows. It is the strongest force among subatomic particles. Its strength is about 50 to 60 times larger than that of the electrostatic force. Unlike the electromagnetic and gravitational forces which act over large distances, their range is infinite. The nuclear force has range of about a few femtometer, and the force is negligible when two nucleons are separated by a large distance. The nuclear force is independent of the charge of the nucleons. That is, the nuclear force between two neutrons with the given separation in the same as that of between two protons or between a neutron and a proton at the same separation. Now let's discuss about the energy, the nuclear binding energy. We have seen that in a hydrogen atom, the energy with which the electron in its ground state is bound to the nucleus, which is single proton, in this case is 13.6 electron volt. This is the amount of energy which is released when the proton and electron are brought from infinity from the atom in its ground state. In other words, what we can say, this is the amount of energy which has to be supplied to the atom to separate the electron and the proton, that is to make them free. The proton and neutrons inside a nucleus are also bound to one another. Energy has to be supplied to the nucleus to make the nucleons free, that is, separate them and take them to the large distance from one another. This energy is nothing but the binding energy of the nucleus. How do electrons move in Bohr's model? So this is some important question I have taken into consider to summarize the lectures till this date. So what the first question is, how do the electrons move in Bohr's model? The theory notes that the electrons in atom travel around a central nucleus in circular orbit that can only orbit stably at a distinct set of distances from the nucleus in certain fixed circular orbits. Such orbits are related to the certain energies and also referred to as energy shells or energy levels. So in short, this electron move in energy level, and Bohr model explain us the energy level concept as the orbits. How did Bohr discover electrons? Bohr was the first to discover the electron move around the nucleus in different orbitals, and that an element's properties are determined by the number of electron in outer orbit. Did Bohr's model have neutrons? The nucleus in the atom's Bohr model hold most of the atom's mass in its proton and neutron. The negatively charged electron, which contribute little in terms of mass but are electrically equivalent to the proton in nucleus, orbit the positively charged core. How did Sommerfeld modify Bohr's theory? Many modifications have been introduced to the Bohr model, most notably the Sommerfeld model or Bohr-Sommerfeld model, which suggested that the electrons move around the nucleus in elliptical orbit rather than a circular orbit for the Bohr model. The Bohr-Sommerfeld system was essentially incoherent, contributing to many paradoxes. Who discovered electron? Actually, the concept was given by Bohr's atomic model, but J.J. Thomson in 1897 discovered electron when he was studying the properties of cathode ray. So these are some important questions I have summarized for you. I hope you like this video, and I will be there in the next video for giving some important things regarding this same chapter, because we have not ended this chapter over here. At least 2 lectures are remaining for the same. So we'll meet in the next lecture. Till then, goodbye and take care.